Hey guys, how's it going? Today I want to speak about the subject of, are emotions the product of biochemical reactions? What I mean by that is, are we basically kind of like computers in some way? And just the chemistry of the way that our brain function makes it in such a way that we feel emotions the way that we do? Well, we certainly are, to a very big extent, that way, because the thing is that we are made out of chemicals, kind of like a machine. The machine has to work with the processor, the RAM, and the voltage, which is the electricity, kind of like its blood. And we need to be very much in touch with our chemicals within our brain and within our body. Otherwise, we can't actually have a proper functioning. And the reason about that is that it takes me to another subject, which is basically the fact that you have to take care of yourself. You know how they say healthy mind, healthy body. So that's why they say things kind of like you need to take care of yourself. You need to eat right. You need to sleep right. You need to exercise. You need to have a balanced diet as well as a balanced life. Because definitely the chemicals within our body will make us feel certain ways, and if they are not in balance, then that's when we go crazy. And what's scary about that is that with pills and with different medication and stuff, people are basically able to change the chemicals within our brain, within our mind, within our body. And that's where, for example, addictions come, because maybe the actual body cannot create those things themselves, and the fact that we take on these basic pills, well, they are the things that will make us have a rounded sort of chemical within our body. But at the same time, they also make it in such a way that our body gets used to not being able to create it itself, or it gets used to having an over amount of a certain type of chemical. And that's when you have those sorts of things that they call like the crashes, where you get heavily depressed or heavily sad, or you feel like this crash down, because that's basically what drugs does, because it creates a chemical and it gets a hyper boost of it, and then all of a sudden, well, now the body doesn't have enough of it, enough juice to create more of it, so now you're completely drained of a certain chemical and you crash. But what if now they could alter this, and within a lab they could basically make it in such a way that, well, you can make as much as you want of a certain type of chemical within the brain, and they can make you either sad or happy or whatever really it is that you want it to be. It could even make you sick. Now it gets into the realm of sort of things like science fiction, but it's not so much science fiction, because they already can, for example, if you go through in vitro fertilization and all that, they can select certain types of genes, alter some sort of things within your DNA in order to basically make a baby born a certain way. And that's where it gets a little bit sort of like a gray line. And at the same time, it also goes to more extremes, where you think, well, if everything's chemicals, everything's done by chemicals, well, how much is really down to our soul, or down to our education, or down to us being ourselves? Are we just kind of like machines? And if so, then could you just create basically a robotic version of yourself with all your same memories, either from what it's learned, or from what you've told it, or from what you've written to it, and now you create a sort of half human, half machine that basically knows and feels and does everything you do, but does it better, and where all the chemicals can be controlled. Or can you just control also population and stuff like that by making them feel a certain way, do things a certain way, and stuff like that? So that's where it gets a little bit scary in some way, because you would think that it would help to be able to basically control all these chemicals, but at the same time, well, does it really help? I guess it really depends on how a person is to use these things, because if they were to use it for good, for healing, yeah, fine, great, then you're able to do that. You're able to make that person or make the whole humanity better by changing the chemicals within your body in order to have a very balanced body. But anyways, that's for a sort of imaginary future, which will probably actually happen. It's already happening with even with just the simple fact that there's so much sugar in everything, which basically made us addicted to that kind of chemical and makes our brain feel a certain way, but it doesn't really alter the biochemical nature of ourselves all the time. But it does at the same time, because we're addicted to it. So yeah, it's kind of complicated, but that's all I have to say on the subject. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.